Our actions against Iran's proxy Hezbollah led to the establishment of a new government in Lebanon and the collapse of Assad's murderous regime in Syria.
Our actions led to the collapse of the Assad regime. You heard it from the horse's mouth. Were you one of those people that celebrated the overthrow of Assad, that was cheering for it, and now you're wondering about what's happening and are we on the verge of a third world war? Do you think this would be happening now if Bashar al-Assad was still in power in Syria? Surely not. But Israel achieved something. They wanted rid of Bashar al-Assad, and now they're on to the next part of the plan, the attack on Iran, and we've seen what happened in retribution for that. I did actually see a clip of Jolani, or whatever it is he calls himself now, in the past talking about Palestine and how close it is to his heart and the importance of liberating Palestine. But now that he's in power in Syria, he said that Syria will not be used as a launch pad for attacks on Israel, even though Israel are now occupying even more of his country than they did before. I swear the tragedy of Palestine, no matter how many tragedies Muslims are subjected to outside Palestine, but glory be to God, Palestine remains the thing that reminds us that it is a compass for the Muslim. It is the compass for the liberation of the region, because it is a tragedy that is now more than 100 years old. But glory be to God, its people are still patient. I mean, they tried a lot with the Palestinian people: displacement, killing, genocide, playing with their thoughts, their culture. All of this was an attempt to take away the desire, the people of Palestine, to return to their homeland, or to discourage Muslims from talking about the Palestinian cause. But Allah Almighty willed that every decade, 2 or 3 times a decade, events occur that reminds the Muslims of this cause's importance, that it was the first Qibla for the Muslims. And that's a big duty for Muslims, to strive for the liberation of this land and to support its people. It's frankly speaking a painful issue. I am one of the people who lived his childhood and youth on loving Palestine, looking at it. I thought about the duty that we had to fulfill in order to do something in regards to Palestine. In reality, this is what led me to the path of jihad, consciously and subconsciously, that it was a duty that we had to fulfill. There were many young people like myself that were inflamed by what was going on in Palestine. At the time, it was the Intifada in 1999-2000. They were heart-wrenching sights. People used to think that the Palestinian cause was a cause that people were tired of, and that it's supposedly of the past, 70 years ago, and so on. Today, the matter has turned into a popular and great sympathy. We haven't experienced this in over 20 to 25 years, this kind of sympathy and great popular engagement at the Arab and Islamic level. What is noticeable in this intifada, or movement that is happening now, that the 1948 Arabs are moving with all their strength. This is one of the most dangerous things for the Israelis, more than even the missiles bombing Tel Aviv, because these areas have 1948 Arabs. The Jews educated and taught them and tried to make them forget the Palestinian cause, that it's over and that they have to live with the reality, especially since most of them, for generations that were born, lived and grew up in the shadow of this Jewish state. However, by the grace of God, this movement, however, proved that all the Jewish programs which they used on Arabs of 1948 has entirely ended in failure, because this uprising we see today is very significant and great. We ask Allah for it to continue and for it to be accepted. Interestingly, he's mentioning the Arabs of 48. These are the Palestinians who did not flee in 1948, who are living inside Israel proper with Israeli citizenship. They're sometimes called Israeli Arabs. Al Jazeera aired a segment recently which highlighted the way in which the Israeli state treats these areas in terms of defense, in terms of the Iron Dome, and there is a sense that the state sometimes allows these places to be targeted and does not protect all its citizens in the same way.
One of them fell on the city of Tamra, killing at least 4 Palestinian Israelis. This video that has been circulating online is showing a Jewish family cheering on as Iranian missiles fell on Palestinian homes. Now, those killed have been identified as 4 women from the same family. They included a mother and her 2 daughters. Now, Palestinian Israelis make up approximately 21% of Israel's population. That's roughly 2.1 million people. There are almost no shelters in Palestinian Israeli towns and neighborhoods, even though buildings constructed in Israel since the 1990s are required to include safe rooms.
There you go. So are Israel being strategic when it comes to defence? Are they considering what is sometimes called the ticking time bomb of demographics? These non-Jewish citizens living inside Israel.